you ready for this? 1, 2, 3, 4!
Señor Fancypants.
From an underground laboratory in Pennsylvania comes the Señor Fancypants Show. It is the single greatest podcast in the universe. Maybe, it's definitely not the worst. Please give it up for your host, Señor Brian Fancypants.
Aw, you guys. Thank you for that totally real applause. Welcome to the Señor Fancypants Show. Proof that anyone can make a podcast. We are now on episode 3 and we plan to keep making these as long as you keep listening. And surprisingly, every day we've been getting more and more listeners, which is awesome. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode. I'm here right now with my co-host, Lincoln. Lincoln, say hello to our listeners.
Hey there, what's up, fancy fans?
Fancy fans?
Yeah, that's what I'm calling our fans now.
All right, sounds good to me. I'm just glad we have fans. So Lincoln just started another school year. And for those of you listening in other countries, the American school year typically begins in late August or early September. This year, Lincoln is in the 3rd grade, so you know what that means.
It means I'm not in 2nd grade anymore.
Exactly. Anyway, Lincoln, you starting school reminds me of that one song.
What song?
You know that one about going back to school? It's been stuck in my head all day.
I don't know it.
You know, the one that goes,
I'm going back to school. The summer's coming to an end. I'm going back to school. And I'm gonna see all of my friends. And we're gonna learn so many things about science, math, and history. Can't wait to go back.
I can't wait to go back.
I'm going back to school.
I've never heard that. Is that even a real song?
I don't know, maybe I imagined it. It does seem like a chorus that was just made up and thrown together last Wednesday. And I can't seem to remember any other parts to the song. Oh well. So we have something new that we're going to do this week. Now that we have at least, I would say 100 listeners, we're going to ask that you send us any questions or comments that you have about something in the show or just anything in general, and we will attempt to answer or respond right here on the podcast. And when we start to get a lot of them, we might actually start doing bonus podcasts every other week just for your questions. That would be a lot of fun. Last week, we received a question on Facebook from a guy named Keith Brockway from Rome, New York.
Sounds like a cool guy.
Maybe. I don't know. So Keith Brockway asks, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And what is the first thing you would do with it? That is a great question. It's a pretty basic question, something that we've all thought about at least once or twice. Now, what do you think, listeners? What do you think you would choose? Well, we can't actually hear you since this is a recording, but feel free to send us a message with your response. All right, I've thought about this question many times. I know my answer. It always is the same. So I would choose to have the power of teleportation, meaning the power to make myself appear anywhere instantly. I would save a lot on gasoline, and it would be really cool to be able to go out to lunch anywhere in the world. You know, places like New Jersey. But I guess the first thing I would do is I would go check out the Great Pyramids in Egypt or something, because that's something I've always wanted to do, and teleportation would make that really easy. But also it would be cool to record the podcast from the actual locations we're talking about. What do you think, Lincoln? Does teleportation sound cool?
Yeah.
All right, well, what would you choose, though, for your superpower?
I would probably choose invincibility.
Invincibility. And what does that mean?
You can't be attacked and be hurt or anything.
Wait, but you can be attacked. You just can't be hurt, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so you're protected from everything.
Yeah.
All right, well, with invincibility then, what is the first thing you would do with that power?
I would stop everyone from doing bad things and...
Okay, that's cool. So you would go and make sure no one would do any more bad things. That's the first thing you would do with that power.
Yeah.
All right, that's probably a lot more noble than going and eating lunch somewhere cool. That's a good choice, Lincoln. Invincibility. All right, so mine's teleportation. Lincoln's is invincibility. You think about what yours would be, all right? Thank you, Keith. That was a great question. All right, what is next on our agenda?
It's time for our place of the day.
Please listen carefully.
Today, we want to talk about a great American city. A city that Lincoln and I live a very short distance from. It is the city where Lincoln was born way back in 2010. It is the city of brotherly love, the birthplace of America. We are, of course, talking about
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the original capital of the United States.
Yes, we like to learn about new places, but sometimes we forget that we live right next to a major American city that many people visit as tourists. Sometimes when you live somewhere, you take for granted all the amazing things it has to offer. So here are some facts about Philadelphia, or as many people refer to it, Philly.
Yeah!
Philadelphia is the 6th largest city in the United States, and by far the largest city in Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia was founded by a man called William Penn in 1682. There's actually a large statue of William Penn on top of City Hall. The statue is 37 feet tall and weighs 27 tons.
The Declaration of Independence was signed in Philly.
That's a pretty big deal. We should probably break that one down real quick. Lincoln, have you learned about the Declaration of Independence in school yet?
Not yet.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to give a really, really quick background of why it's so important. Basically, and I mean very basically, back in the 1700s, there were 13 colonies on the east coast of North America that were ruled by the British government. A colony is an area in a country that is owned by another country. The people in these 13 colonies did not like the way they were being treated by Great Britain, and so they ended up having to go to war against them. Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So on July 4th of 1776, a bunch of very important people got together to sign a document saying that the 13 colonies were no longer going to be ruled by Great Britain, and that they would now be a new country. Great Britain, of course, was not very happy about this, and the war continued until 1783, when Great Britain was defeated and had to recognize the United States as a new country. They were no longer ruled by Great Britain. And that war was known as the American Revolution, or also the Revolutionary War. There's a whole lot more to it, so if you find that sort of stuff interesting, feel free to go and do some research, and you will very quickly be smarter than I am, that's for sure. So, in Philadelphia, you can visit the building where the actual Declaration of Independence was signed, which is now called Independence Hall, but if you want to see the actual document, you have to visit Washington, D.C. All right, next fact, Lincoln.
In Philadelphia, there is a very famous bell called the Liberty Bell.
Yes, there is. It has a giant crack in it. You should definitely check that out. It was originally called the State House Bell because it used to hang in the Pennsylvania State House, which is the building that we now call Independence Hall. They used to ring the bell to mark special occasions.
If you were to ring the bell, it would be in the key of E flat, just in case you ever wanted to borrow it and play it in your band.
That's right. That would be a great idea. All right. More facts. The reason Philly is called the city of brotherly love is because the name Philadelphia comes from two Greek words, philos and adelphos. Philos meaning loving, and adelphos meaning brother. And I'm probably mispronouncing them. I mean, I'm not Greek.
True that.
Any other interesting facts, Lincoln?
Is the birthplace of the United States Marine Corps.
All right, that's one I didn't know before this podcast. That's cool. It is a city of many firsts, including but not limited to
The first library.
the first zoo,
First business school.
the first hospital.
The first medical school.
Yes, and speaking of medical schools, 1 out of every 6 doctors in the United States is trained in Philadelphia. That's cool.
Yeah. In Philly, you can find soft pretzels everywhere.
Yes, now there's an important fact. If you don't know what a soft pretzel is, imagine a hard pretzel, and then imagine what it would be like if it were much softer.
In Philly, there's a beautiful art museum that was featured in a classic popular boxing movie called Rocky.
That's right. And because of this, Many people refer to the steps leading up to the museum as the Rocky Steps. You could sit there all day if you wanted and watch tourists running up and down them, much like the main character from the film.
If that's your thing.
Yeah, it's not really my thing. Now, one of the most famous people in Philadelphia history was a man called Benjamin Franklin. He was one of the 5 people that helped write the Declaration of Independence. In addition to being one of the founding fathers of the United States, he was also a brilliant inventor, author, scientist, soldier, and many other things. Basically, he was a really busy man, and he played a very important part in making Philadelphia the great city it is today. It's definitely worth going and reading more about him.
If you've never been to Philadelphia, you may not know that there are over 2,000 outdoor murals there.
Yes, murals are large paintings or other works of art that are done directly on the surface of a wall. You will see them everywhere in Philly. They're really great works of art. And speaking of great art, we're going to take a quick break and play a song from one of my favorite kids' music bands in Philly. They are called Ants on a Log, and they're a folk duo with really clever lyrics and great harmonies. So here they are with their song, If I Had a Dog.
If I had a dog, I'd take him for a walk. I'd pat him on the back. We'd wrestle in the grass. I'd scrunch up his ears and mess up his fur. I'd kiss him on the head. Mwah! He'd be just like you. If I had a dog, I'd say, Gesundheit! When he sneezed, I'd tickle his toes. He'd sit in my lap. I'd scrunch up his ears and mess up his fur. I'd kiss him on the head. Mwah! He'd be just like you. 'Cause if I had the dog I wanted to, he would be just like you. I'd pat him on the back just like a drum. If I had a dog, I'd put a lot of peanut butter on his nose. He'd spend the whole day just licking away. I'd scrunch up his ears and mess up his fur. I'd kiss him on the head. Mwah! He'd be just like you. 'Cause if I had the dog I wanted to, he would be just like you. I'd pat him on the back just like a drum. He'd sleep in a bed right next to mine. We'd brush our teeth and say goodnight. I'd scrunch up his ears and mess up his fur. I'd kiss him on the head. Mwah! He'd be just like you.
That song was brought to you by pizza.
It's like a calzone that hasn't been folded in half. Pizza. All right, speaking of Ants on a Log, they are performing their very own kid-friendly musical this month in Philadelphia. It's called Curious, Think Outside the Pipeline. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic, and I'm hoping that I get a chance to see it as well. You should go check out their Facebook page and website for more information. There's going to be a link to that kind of stuff right in the podcast details.
All right, so back to talking about the great city of Philadelphia.
Yes, let's get back to it. All right, so one of my favorite places to go in Philadelphia, because I love food, is a place called Reading Terminal Market, which is right in Center City. For those who don't know, Center City is what they call the downtown area in Philly.
Reading Terminal is the longest-running farmers market in the nation.
Right, and there are a lot of vendors there that sell everything from fish to vegetables, chocolate, flowers, cheese, donuts, cookies. I'm getting kind of hungry just talking about it, to be honest. The Reading Terminal Market is indoors, and it's open all year round, and you must check it out when you visit Philly.
Speaking of food, we can't talk about Philly without mentioning cheesesteaks.
Yes, cheesesteaks. For those who don't know, like people outside of the United States, A cheesesteak is a famous sandwich invented in Philly made of chopped up steak on a long Italian roll with melted cheese on it. That's it, it's pretty basic. Although it is commonly served with cooked onions on top as well. I did way more research on cheesesteak history than I ever thought I would, but here are the basics according to what I found. The steak sandwich was invented by Pat and Harry Olivieri, they were brothers, back in the early 1930s. Those two brothers had a hot dog stand, and one day Pat decided he wanted to experiment a little bit with some chopped up ribeye steak, so he threw it on a roll with some onions, and that was his lunch. And legend has it that a cab driver smelled the delicious sandwich and asked Pat to make him one, and he thought it was awesome, so he told Pat and Harry that they should start selling the steak sandwiches and stop focusing on hot dogs and fish cakes. And they did, so the sandwiches became so popular that Pat opened up a restaurant which is still around today and now goes by the name Pat's King of Steaks.
The original steak sandwich didn't even have cheese on it.
Yeah, see, that's a little known fact. A manager at Pat's actually started adding provolone cheese years later, just upon like an experiment he did, and it became very popular. And a lot of people incorrectly think that an authentic cheesesteak is made with something called Cheese Whiz. And if you don't know what that is, it is a jar of gooey processed cheese, like a cheese sauce, that you heat up. And Cheese Whiz wasn't even available until 1952, but now it's a very popular option at Pat's. It's just not the original. Now, personally, I recommend American cheese or provolone. So now there's probably 1,000 or more places in Philly that advertise that they have the best cheesesteak. So how do you know which one is best?
It's not possible.
That's right, it's not. But people have very aggressive opinions about it, so we want to give a shout out, though, to two of our favorite places to get cheesesteaks in the Philadelphia area. I say, and Lincoln says, try Chubby's or D'Alessandro's in the Roxborough section of Philly.
Another fact about Philly is that it's home to the world champion NFL team, the Eagles.
That's right, and that is a new fact. The Eagles won their very first Super Bowl earlier this year. It was a really big deal. They had a big parade throughout the city, and it ended at the Art Museum steps, aka the Rocky Steps.
Philadelphia is a great location. You can drive from Philly to several major cities in 3 hours or less.
That's right. So we have New York City just 2 hours away. Baltimore's 2 hours away. Washington, D.C., you can be there in 3 hours. And in less than 2 hours, you can be living it up in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Right on. Now, there is much more we could say about Philly, but this is not a 4-hour podcast, unfortunately. So we recommend visiting someday. It's a great American city, and I kind of wish that there were a powerful rock and roll anthem about it.
Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. Philadelphia, it's the kind of place you dream of. It's got cheesesteaks, the Rocky Steps, and Super Bowl champions. The Liberty Bell, Ben Franklin's grave, and a statue of William Penn. It's the birthplace of America. Philadelphia.
Well, that was weird.
Now it's time for our animal of the day.
Yes, today's animal of the day was an easy choice because we just got a new cat. So we're going to talk about cats today. We have 2 of them now. And we're talking about domestic cats, like the ones that you keep as pets, not tigers and lions and stuff. Anyway, here are 10 interesting facts about cats. Fact number 1.
Cats can make about 100 different sounds. Dogs can only make about 10.
There are more than 500 million domestic cats in the world. 2 of those live at my house.
Cats are the most popular pets in North America.
Cats spend an average of 2/3 of every day sleeping. So that means a 9-year-old cat has only been awake for 3 years of its life.
They can run up to 30 miles per hour.
Wow, that's twice as fast as I can run. Fact number 6. Cats are carnivores, which means they get all of their nutrition from eating meat.
They have excellent night vision. They need very little light to be able to see.
Fact number 8. A cat can jump about 6 times their length, or about 8 feet.
When a cat sticks its butt in your face, they are doing this as a sign of friendship.
Weird. Well, maybe I don't want to be friends with cats then. Anyway, our last and final fact about cats is cats' claws curve downward, which means they are unable to climb down a tree head first. They would have to climb down a tree butt first. Now you know. All right, since we are talking about cats today, I wanted to play a really fun cat song that I heard a while ago from an extremely talented songwriter and performer named Billy Jonas. It's really clever, and it will have you guessing what he's going to say next.
Here is Billy Jonas with What Kind of Cat Are You?
What kind of cat hangs out in your house?
House cat.
What kind of cat hangs out in the alley?
Alley cat.
What kind of cat is a chocolate candy bar?
Kitty cat.
Yeah. What kind of cat are you? What kind of cat are you? Tell me true. What kind of cat are you? I'll give you those clues. What kind of cat are you? Gets harder. Put on your thinking cap. What kind of cat has the first name of Tom?
Tomcat.
What kind of cat is really, really scared?
Scared cat.
What kind of cat hangs out at the coffee shop?
Copycat.
What kind of cat is actually a fish?
Fish cat.
What kind of cat steals things at night?
Catbird.
What kind of cat hangs out with Batman?
Robin.
No, Robin is a bird.
Catwoman.
Yeah. What kind of cat has 1,000 legs?
Caterpillar.
What kind of cat is a big expensive car? What kind of cat are you? What kind of cat are you? Tell me true. What kind of cat are you? I'll give you the clues. What kind of cat are you? 2-finger clap. Put on your thinking cap. What kind of cat is a great big disaster?
Catastrophe.
What kind of cat is an even bigger disaster?
Cataclysm.
What kind of cat rhymes with that and is a long religious recitation?
Catechism.
What kind of cat is connected to the engine of your car?
Catalytic converter.
What kind of cat facilitates a chemical reaction?
Catalyst.
What kind of cat is a group of things that are similar?
Categories.
What kind of cat comes in the mail from Sears?
Catalog.
Yep. And what kind of cat is a whole bunch of cows?
Cattle.
Yeah, what kind of cat are you? What kind of cat are you? Tell me true. What kind of cat are you? I'll give you those clues. What kind of cat are you? 2-finger clap. Put on your thinking cap. What kind of cat throws stuff over the wall of a castle?
Catapult.
What kind of cat is tunnels under the castle?
Catacomb.
What kind of cat floats on 2 pontoons?
Catamaran.
And what kind of cat takes a picture of the inside of your body?
Cat scan.
Yeah.
What kind of cat obscures your vision?
Cataracts.
What kind of cat's being followed by a moon shadow?
Cat Stevens.
What kind of cat is the capital of Nepal?
Kathmandu.
Yeah. And what kind of cat carries your golf clubs?
Caddy.
Woo! What kind of cat are you? What kind of cat are you? Tell me true. What kind of cat are you? I'll give you those clues. What kind of cat are you? That's all my clues. The song is through.
Awesome. That was a lot of fun. All right. We're coming to the end of today's show. Real quick, though, we need to give an update on our Harry Potter minifigure collection. We are now up to 9 unique characters, because last week we got 2 new minifigures. Lincoln, which ones did we get?
We got Dumbledore and Voldemort.
Yes, 2 very important characters, right? Well, this has been your official Harry Potter minifigure update. Thanks so much for joining us once again. Make sure you check the podcast details for links to all of the great artists featured on the show, and please share this podcast with all of your friends. All right, well, we're going to close out the show with one more song by a friend of mine by the name of Mo Phillips. This is a very beautiful and hypnotizing song about a skateboard made out of clouds. The song is called Cloud Skateboard. Enjoy, and we'll see you again in a fortnight.
Cloud skateboard, skating that skateboard, got me a skateboard made out of clouds. Cloud skateboard, skating that skateboard, got me a skateboard made out of clouds. And I ride it high up in the sky. Yeah, I ride it high up in the sky. Cloud skateboard, skating that skateboard, got me a skateboard